Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, today we would talk about sentence structure. Before I really go for today's session, I would like to share the review of our previous session. As far as our previous session was concerned, that was basically an introduction to writing skills. I introduced to you what are writing skills or sub-skills, why writing skills, that is, what is the importance of writing skills. In the previous session, I also shared with you needs analysis for writing for particular situations, different contexts, and for different users of language. That session also had types of writing. I shared with you features of formal and informal writing. I introduced what is academic writing, and types of academic writing were shared with you. Then we moved on to writing as a study skill. And the process of writing for a student was explored, that what mental, cognitive, and what behavioral aspects are associated with it. Towards the end of the previous lecture, we talked about mind mapping. We saw how mind mapping can be a helpful tool in writing efficiently and effectively. With this, we move on to today's lecture. Today's session, as I have already said, is on sentence structure. So I would start with what is a sentence. Well, a sentence is a group of words that tells a complete thought. The words in the sentence should be in an order that makes sense. So far, two important aspects of a sentence are pointed out. Number one, that it tells a complete thought. So, a sentence conveys a complete idea and a complete thought. And also that this thought is presented in an organized and ordered way. When we say ordered way, it means following a particular syntax, the rules of grammar and syntax to be followed to create a sentence in any particular language. In fact, every language has its own syntactic rules. Some of the rules are shared amongst languages, but some are the rules that are completely related to individual languages. The rules that are for syntax or for the structure of a sentence, they are to be followed to create a meaningful message in a sentence. Another definition that I would share about the sentence is, a sentence is the written expression of a complete thought. When we say it has to be a complete thought, it also means that begin every sentence with a capital letter and end it with the correct end mark. For example, Cindy's cat has white hair. Or Raoul drew pictures of many animals. What you can see in case of these sentences, each one of these convey a complete thought. Let me give you some idea of how a sentence is different from a clause. A beautiful young girl. What do you think? Is it a complete sentence or a phrase? Well, it is a phrase. Why? Because the idea or thought that is presented is not syntactically, grammatically correct. In the sentence form, it does not convey complete thought. Whereas, a young, beautiful girl was crossing the road, full stop. In this case, a complete thought is presented, which means this would be a sentence. As far as sentence structure is concerned, sentence structure is the order and arrangement of the clauses in a sentence, which is a group of words that express a complete thought. Three of the most common types of sentence structures are simple, compound, and complex sentences. In a while, we would see what is the difference in a simple, compound, and a complex sentence. Each of these can be identified by the number and types of clauses found within them. Moving onwards to the types of sentences, I would say there are basic 4 types of sentences. Number 1, declarative. Number 2, interrogative. Number 3, imperative. And number 4, exclamatory. We would see each one of these in detail. What does each one of these mean, and how sentences are to be constructed to be syntactically correct as being declarative, interrogative, imperative, or exclamatory sentences. As far as a declarative sentence is concerned, you can see I have shown here the type of sentence. In the center, the central column shows the use, and the rightmost column shows punctuation mark that is most suitable for that particular type of sentence. So as far as declarative sentences are concerned, these make statements. I repeat, a declarative sentence makes a statement, and the appropriate punctuation mark that is used for it is a full stop or a period that is shown with the help of a dot. Number 2, interrogative sentences. Interrogatives are used to ask a question. That is why the punctuation mark that is used for interrogatives is a question mark that is shown here within parentheses. The third type of sentences, that are imperative sentences, they always give a command or make a request. So imperatives are used either to give an order or command, or to put up a request, to make a request. And again, like declarative sentences, a full stop or a period is used to close these sentences. Fourthly and finally, the exclamatory sentences. Well, exclamatory sentences express strong feeling. Exclamatory sentences are the sentences that are used to show emotions or feelings of the writer in case of writing when you do not have the possibility of expressing your feelings or emotions as you can do it through voice, through stress, unstressed patterns of your voice, through the pitch of your voice. You can express all that in oral communication, but when it comes to written communication, it is exclamatory expressions and sentences that are used to convey feelings or emotions. And because feelings and emotions are to be shown or to be expressed, exclamation mark that you can see in parentheses in front of this is used as the appropriate punctuation mark. This also implies that if a sentence that has an exclamation mark at its end and is an exclamatory sentence, if you just change the exclamation mark with a full stop or a period, the natural result of this would be that the sentence would lose its exclamatory expression, and as the exclamatory expression would be removed, it would become a declarative sentence with a full stop at the end. As I have already said, declarative sentences are used to form statements. Here is an example. For example, Mary is here, full stop. Another example, my name is Mary, full stop. So both of these actually are complete sentences in themselves. In fact, each of these conveys a complete idea or a complete thought. Compare this with simple interrogative sentences that are used to ask questions, and I have given examples here. Where is Mary? Question mark. Another example, what is your name? Question mark. So a question is posed in these sentences. Moving on to the examples of the third type, that is imperative sentences, which show the use of some command, some order or some request. You can see here, come here, full stop. But if somebody is calling somebody to come here with a voice full of surprise, showing emotions of surprise, for example, or of excitement, If, for example, by removing this full stop from come here, if we put an exclamation mark here, what would happen? It would become an exclamatory sentence. Another type that I would like to introduce is of sentences that are conditional. Conditional sentences are used to indicate dependencies between events or conditions. Example is, if you cut all the trees, there will be no forest. Look at this sentence. I would also like to say that look at the two parts of the sentence. If you cut all the trees. Now let us suppose the conditional part if is removed from this sentence. You cut all the trees, full stop. In that case, what would happen? It would become a declarative sentence in itself. The second part, there will be no forest, full stop, can in itself be an independent sentence. But these two sentences are brought together to indicate what? To indicate interdependence of two events or conditions. You can see, if, that is conditional part, if you cut the trees, what would be the result? There will be no forest. Once these are brought together in one sentence in this way, each one of these becomes a clause. Each one of these sentences becomes a clause in this one longer sentence that is a conditional sentence now, and we end up with the sentence, if you cut all the trees, there will be no forest. My dear students, with this I would take you onwards to how to construct a sentence. There are some basic elements of sentence construction, and these are subjects and predicates. In fact, every complete sentence contains two parts, a subject and a predicate. The subject is what or whom the sentence is about, whose action is reported, about whom something is said. That is the subject, while the predicate tells something about the subject. So predicate is the rest of the sentence that provides some information about the subject. Let us see some examples. In the following sentences, the predicate is enclosed in braces, in the braced brackets, while the subject is highlighted to make it clear to you. Judy runs, full stop. In this sentence, that is a declarative sentence, if you look at the sentence, you would see Judy is the subject, one who has done something, who has done some action, one about whom the sentence provides some information. And the information that is provided is runs. So Judy is the subject and runs is the predicate. However, predicates can be far longer than as the example of Judy runs shows here. For example, Judy and her dog run on the beach every morning. So in this sentence, Judy and her dog run on the beach every morning, full stop. That is a complete idea or thought in itself. You would see Judy and her dog. This is what the sentence provides some information about. This is what the sentence talks about. And these are about whom some information is provided. So Judy and her dog are the subjects of the sentence. On the other hand, the part that is given in braces, that is run on the beach every morning. This is the predicate of this sentence. Why? Because this provides information about the subject, that is Judy and her dog. The complete subject tells whom or what the sentence is about. For example, the house, the red car, the great teacher, etc. The complete predicate tells what the subject is or what the subject does. For example, the house is white. Is white is some information about the house, so this is predicate. is white is the predicate of the sentence. The house is white. The red car is fast. In this sentence, the red car is the subject, whereas is fast is a predicate. In the same way, the great teacher likes students. The great teacher is the subject about whom the sentence is, or the teacher about whom the sentence is. Likes students is the part that provides some information about what the teacher does, about the action of the teacher. So this is the predicate of this sentence. On the same pattern of subject and predicate, actually far more complicated sentences can be created and used in English. With this, we move onwards to phrases. Phrases are what? A group of two or more grammatically linked words that do not have subject and predicate is a phrase. I repeat the definition: a group of two or more grammatically linked words that do not, notice this, that do not have subject and predicate is a phrase. For example, the girl is at home and tomorrow she is going to the amusement park. In this sentence, this is a complete sentence. This is a far longer and complicated sentence as compared to the previous examples. The girl is at home and tomorrow she is going to the amusement park. You can see that the amusement park is a phrase located in the second clause of the complete sentence above. I hope you are already clear about when I explained the clauses. If you look again at this example, the girl is at home. If we put a full stop here, it would become an independent, complete sentence in itself that conveys a complete idea or a complete thought. In the same way, the second part of the sentence, that is, tomorrow she is going to the amusement park, it would be an independent, complete sentence in itself. However, because these two parts or these two sentences are related to each other, they are made a part of the same sentence by changing them into clauses, and they are connected through what? Do you remember the interdependency? Yes, that is and here in that case that connects them together, that brings them together. So these two sentences become clauses in a longer sentence. The girl is at home and tomorrow she is going to the amusement park. Now in this sentence, the amusement park is a phrase that you would see in the second part of the sentence or in the second clause of the sentence. Phrases act like parts of speech inside clauses. That is, they can act as nouns, adjectives, adverbs, and so on. So actually we have different types of phrases, for example, noun phrase, adjectival phrase, adverbial, etc. Dear students, I have already explained upon what a clause is. However, here I would reiterate the point that the term clause simply refers to a group of words that form an idea somewhat synonymous with sentence. So an independent clause is a phrase that includes a subject and predicate and can stand on its own as a full statement. Please compare it with the definition of a phrase. A phrase does not include a subject and predicate, whereas a clause includes a subject as well as a predicate. However, in contrast to this, a dependent clause might have both a subject and predicate, but what it expresses is incomplete because it depends on the other clause, and if you do not read the other clause, the meaning of the second clause that is dependent upon the meaning of the first clause would not be clear. Remember, this distinction is very important as various types of sentence structures are created by combining these two forms. Continuing on sentence structure, I would introduce adjective clauses here. To show that one idea in a sentence is more important than another, we rely on subordination, that is treating one word group as secondary or subordinate to the other. One common form of subordination is the adjective clause, a word group that modifies a noun. This is what an adjective clause is. The most common adjective clauses begin with one of these relative pronouns, who, which, and that. The terms, the linguistic items, who, which, that, etc., they are used to introduce, to put forth or to begin adjective clauses. And adjective clauses are what? Adjective clauses are those clauses that modify a noun by providing information about them. To give you some more clarity on this, if you cannot recall, I would like to remind you that an adjective is a word that is used to modify the meaning of a noun. It adds to the meaning of a noun, or it qualifies the meaning of a noun, which means in some way it adds to what the noun is. For example, rose. Rose is a noun. A rose. One rose. Beautiful rose. Red rose. All these words, they qualify, they work as adjectives to qualify or to modify the meaning of the word noun in any particular situation. Now, for example, a red rose would have a particular meaning. This phrase would have a meaning that would tell something about that particular rose. But for example, if you add another adjective to that, a beautiful red rose, by adding beautiful to that, you again modify the meaning of the noun that is red rose in this case. So a beautiful red rose again would be an adjectival phrase that would provide you some information about the head, that is the noun in this case. In the same way, we have adverb clauses. Like an adjective clause, an adverb clause is always dependent on or subordinate to an independent clause. What I mean by this is that an adverb clause is always a dependent clause, and it has some independent clause as well that helps you interpret the complete meaning or the complete thought. Like an ordinary adverb, an adverb clause usually modifies a verb, though it can also modify an adjective, an adverb, or even the rest of the sentence in which it appears. By the way, do you remember what is an adverb? In one of my lectures, I talked about adverb, and I said that an adverb is used to qualify or to modify a verb. It provides some additional information about a verb, thus it modifies the meaning of that verb, or it qualifies the meaning of that verb. For example, work or worked. Now, worked hard. This hard is an adverb that adds to the meaning of what type of work. An adverb clause begins with a subordinating conjunction, an adverb that connects the subordinate clause to the main clause. I hope your concept of an adjectival clause and adverb clause would be clear, and you would be able to differentiate between the two. Here I would like to share a very important factor or a very important point, that is avoiding fragments. When dealing with sentence structure, it is important to avoid fragments. A fragment is an incomplete thought or a dependent clause by itself. Look at the example. However, I went to the store. I went to the store, full stop. This can be a complete sentence, complete idea, or a complete thought. But, however, I went to the store. ताहम मैं स्टोर पे गया या मैं दुकान पे गया. This however adds a kind of condition to this clause and it makes it a dependent clause, which means it is a fragment in itself and it is not a complete thought. Now it needs an independent clause to support it so that it can be a complete sentence. So, however I went to the store is a fragment, since there is clearly something missing from the idea expressed by it. To understand the message given in it, we need to know something that is said before this. It contains a subject and predicate, but the conjunction, however, indicates a missing element. Now look at these examples. In these examples, the second sentence or the second clause, I would say here, is shown in red, and it would be a fragment if it occurs independently without the first clause, because in the case of all these sentences, the first sentence or the first clause is the independent clause that adds to the meaning and that adds to the clarity of what the second part means. Well, let us look at these sentences. Sentence 1 states, I don't think I'm going to get a good grade, full stop. Okay, this is a complete thought in itself and it is an independent sentence in itself. Look at the second part, because I didn't study. Now, if you remove the full stop between the two sentences, they would become clauses in one sentence and they would have some meaning, because the second part, because I did not study, would have a meaning in relation to, it would depend, it would have some dependency on the first part, and as I said, in relation to the first sentence, it would have some meaning. But independently when you look at this part, or in isolation when you look at this part, because I didn't study, in this case it does not convey complete meaning and we understand that some information is missing. Look at example 2. She got angry and shouted at the teacher, full stop, which wasn't a very good idea, full stop. Again, the first full stop after teacher shows till here a complete thought or a complete idea is presented that is independent and complete in itself. However, when you look at the second part that is shown in red, which wasn't a very good idea, if this part is given in isolation, what happens? You do not know what is not a good idea, or which idea is not a good idea. So to understand this part, you need to know you are dependent upon the first sentence, that in this case would become a clause if you remove the full stop between the two. Then the complete sentence would be like, she got angry and shouted at the teacher, which wasn't a very good idea. And thus you would have a complete thought or a complete idea. What is that? It was not a good idea to be angry and to shout at the teacher. Let us quickly look at the rest of the sentences. He watched TV for an hour and they went to bed, and then went to bed after falling asleep on the sofa. Now, after falling asleep on the sofa in itself does not convey a complete thought or a complete meaning. So it would be a fragment which would be meaningless, or which would show that there is some part of the information that is missing. Again, you need to remove the full stop and you need to connect these two parts in order to show that he fell asleep on the sofa and then later on he went to bed once he had watched TV for an hour. In the same way, look at the example. She got up and ran out of the library, slamming the door behind her. Now, slamming the door behind her is a fragment that would not have any meaning, that would be complete in itself until and unless it is joined with she got up and ran out of the library. Next one, I have to write a report on Albert Einstein, the famous scientist who left Europe to live in the USA. Now, the famous scientist who left Europe to live in the USA. Please look at this structure. This is again a fragment. You can compare it with the previous fragments that I have shared. This is comparatively longer, and the use of who again within this fragment shows some kind of dependency. Who left Europe to live in the USA? The famous scientist. And who is the famous scientist? We yet do not know until and unless we combine it with the sentence that is given before that. The final example here is, after riding my bike without problems for over a year, the chain broke 40 kilometers from my house. Now this 40 kilometers from my house, what happened we do not know. To understand the meaning of this, we need to relate it to the information that is provided before that. So what we conclude from this slide is that a sentence has to be a complete idea or a complete thought. No matter syntactically, that is structurally, it is very simple and it has just a few words, or it presents a very simple idea. But it has to be a complete idea. On the other hand, you can have far more complicated and complex sentences. You can have compound complex sentences where different dependent and independent clauses can be brought together to make longer and complex sentences that are dependent upon each other for meanings. Referring to another important error that generally students make, I would say avoid comma splices and fused sentences. Two common errors in writing are fused sentences and comma splices. A fused sentence is really two sentences joined with no punctuation. Now look at the example. Tiger Woods began playing golf at an early age. He is now the world's greatest golfer. Now before the word he in this sentence and after the word age, between the words age and he, you need to use a punctuation mark, you need to use a comma to separate these two parts. Otherwise it becomes a fused sentence which results in a confusing statement for the reader that the reader cannot understand appropriately. On the other hand, a comma splice is two sentences joined with a comma and no conjunction. Look at this example. Tiger Woods began playing golf at an early age, comma, he is now the world's greatest golfer. In this case, a comma splice is incorrect because two sentences cannot be joined with a comma alone. They must be separated by something stronger. So what you can do is either they two are to be separated with the help of a semicolon, that is a dot and a comma, or you can use a comma and after that you can add a conjunction. For example, Tiger Woods began playing golf at an early age, comma, and he is now the world's greatest golfer, full stop. Here is another system of presentation of sentence types that I am going to share with you. This division or this typology of sentences is based on the nature of sentences with reference to their simplicity or complexity. Starting with a simple sentence, I would say a simple sentence is a sentence with only one independent clause. And this independent clause is known as the main clause. For example, I don't like dogs. Another example, our school basketball team lost their last game of the season 75-68. Please compare these two sentences. I would like you to notice that these two sentences, both of these that I have given as examples of simple sentences, are very much alike in their structure. I, subject, do not like dogs, predicate. In the second sentence, our school basketball team, this is the subject, lost their last game of the season by 75-68. This is the predicate that tells about the subject. Look at the next example. the old hotel opposite the bus station in the center of the town is probably going to be knocked down at the end of next year. What do you think? What kind of sentence it is? Is it a simple sentence or it is a complex sentence? Well, interestingly, this again is a simple sentence. Why? Because it has only one clause, that is an independent clause, or that is the main clause of this sentence. Again, if you compare it with the previous two sentences, you would see the same structure or the same syntactic system is followed. In this case, the old hotel opposite the bus station in the center of the town. What is this? The subject. पहली एग्जाम्पल में हमें बताया गया I is the subject जिसके बारे में सेंटेंस है. दूसरी एग्जाम्पल में सेंटेंस इज अबाउट whom? Our school basketball team. 4 वर्ड्स में हमने एक्सप्लेन किया है सब्जेक्ट को. The subject actually is the team, लेकिन उसको by using different adjectives, our school basketball. These adjectives are used to qualify or to explain or to define team. Compare it with the third example. यहाँ पर subject क्या है? Hotel. But which hotel? The old hotel. More information is provided. The old hotel that is opposite the bus station in the center of the town. So all this information in this phrase actually provides information about the hotel. This is the subject of this sentence. The rest of the part of the sentence is a predicate, and you can compare it with the predicate of the first sentence. Do not like dogs or don't like dogs. So the action or the information about I is provided. In the same way, in the third example, the information about the hospital is provided, and what is the information? Is probably going to be knocked down at the end of next year. So, if you remember, a predicate is something that gives you information, tells you about some action, or provides you something that adds to your clarity about the subject, who the subject is and what the subject does. In the case of first example, who the subject is and what the subject does. Subject is I, and what the subject does not like dogs. In the case of the third sentence, again the subject is the hotel, the old hotel opposite the bus station in the center of the town, and what the subject is or what happens to it is told is probably going to be knocked down at the end of the next year. So what I would like to explain here again, and what I would like to reiterate, is that a simple sentence is a sentence that has only one clause, that is the main clause or the independent clause. Now this definition should not be misleading, that a simple sentence is a short or a brief sentence. It can be as long as the third example here is, or even longer than this one. But the basic structure of this sentence is that it has a subject and it has a predicate and it is independent. Only this is what makes it qualify as a simple sentence. Let us compare that now with the definition of a compound sentence. A compound sentence is a sentence that contains at least 2 independent clauses. I repeat, a sentence that contains at least 2 independent clauses, which means it does not have one independent clause like a simple sentence. It rather has 2 independent clauses or more than 2 independent clauses that make it a compound sentence. Let us look at the examples. I walked to the store and the clerk waved hello. Each one of these is a simple sentence in itself. But if they are joined together to create the compound sentence, I walked to the store, comma. Remember, what we have done is we have removed the full stop from I walked to the store. And the clerk waved hello, full stop. And the second sentence is brought together. Now, what happens in this sentence? This is a compound sentence, and in this sentence there are two clauses. Clause 1 is I walked to the store. Clause 2 is the clerk waved hello. Both of these clauses are linked with the help of and, that is a conjunction. अब the important point is कि अब आप अगर देखें तो each one of these has a complete meaning in itself. I walked to the store is independent in itself, अपना एक पूरा meaning convey कर रहा है ये clause. In the same way, the clerk waved hello in itself is a complete independent part that conveys its meaning, और इस part को समझने के लिए it's not necessary that you have the information about the previous one. However, since they are linked together to make a complicated, more complicated or a longer sentence, that is a compound sentence, they are brought together. Look at these examples that would further clarify your concept of a compound sentence in relation to a simple sentence. Example number 1 is, I don't like dogs and my sister doesn't like cats. Now look at this. I don't like dogs, full stop. This can be a complete sentence in itself. On the other hand, and my sister doesn't like cats. My sister doesn't like cats is a complete information in itself. It is an independent sentence which is made a clause in this case by bringing it together with the first part, I don't like dogs. Look at example 2. You can write on paper or you can use a computer. You can write on paper, full stop. Sentence 2, you can use a computer, full stop. Each one of these is a complete sentence in itself, but when they are brought together within one sentence or when they are joined to make one longer sentence, they become clauses. Now each of these clauses is independent in itself because it conveys a complete meaning in itself. Number 3 example states, a tree fell onto the school roof in a storm, but none of the students was injured. अभी अगेन आप देखिए, दिस टाइम द कंजंक्शन इज चेंज्ड. इस दफा बट यूज किया हुआ है दोनों क्लॉजेस को मिलाने के लिए, बट ईच clause has its own meaning that is independent and complete in itself. A tree fell onto the school roof in a storm. If you put a full stop, तो ये एक complete sentence होगा, one complete thought. None of the students was injured is another complete idea or a complete thought, and these two independent thoughts are brought together as independent clauses in this sentence, that is a compound sentence. As I have already said that this typology that I am sharing with you is with reference to the nature of complexity of the structure of sentences. The first type that I shared with you was simple sentence. The second one that I shared was compound sentence. The third type that I am sharing is complex sentence. Well, what is a complex sentence? A sentence that contains an independent clause and at least one dependent clause. Please try to understand the difference between a compound sentence and a complex sentence. A compound sentence has two or more than two independent clauses. Each of the clauses is independent in itself. In comparison to that, a complex sentence has one independent clause, जो कि main clause होता है, and at least one dependent clause, which means it can have more than one dependent clauses, whereas there would be one independent clause. Let us look at the example. For example, I walked to the store and I bought some milk, though I really wanted ice cream. This is a compound complex sentence. अभी let me show you how it is. For example, अगर ये sentence यूं होता, I walked to the store though I really wanted ice cream. अब मैंने modify कर दिया sentence. Try to notice. I walked to the store though I really wanted ice cream. अब I walked to the store is independent. It is an independent clause. It is complete in itself as an idea or a thought. जो दूसरा पार्ट है ना, though I really wanted some ice cream, तो though I really wanted ice cream, अगर से मुझे आइसक्रीम चाहिए थी, is not clear जब तक कि आपको independent clause I walked to the store. अच्छा, अब I walked to the store though I really wanted ice cream. For example, हम आगे लगा देते हैं at home. अच्छा, even though I really wanted ice cream at home would not be clear जब तक I walk to the store आपको नहीं पता होगा. So one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. ये एक फोर्थ टाइप ऑफ सेंटेंस है जो कॉम्पाउंड कॉम्प्लेक्स है. इस एग्जाम्पल को देखिए. आई वॉक्ड टू द स्टोर एंड आई बॉट सम मिल्क दो आई रियली वांटेड सम आइसक्रीम. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस, इट बिगिंस विद अ सिंपल सेंटेंस आई वॉक टू द स्टोर. एक इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज है, सिंपल सेंटेंस है, विच इज कनेक्टेड बाय एंड टू अ कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस. अब ये जो कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस है उसमें क्या हुआ है, consisting of the independent clause I bought some milk and the second part dependent clause though I really wanted ice cream. So you see a complex sentence that has one independent clause I bought some milk though I really wanted ice cream. Though I really wanted ice cream का meaning तब तक clear नहीं होगा until and unless you understand I bought some milk. ये पहले वाला part you don't have the information, then the second part would have no meaning. But when you relate it to another independent simple sentence, that is I walked to the store, so it becomes what? It becomes a compound complex sentence. Look at a few more examples here that would add to your clarity about the differences in compound sentences, complex sentences and compound complex sentences. Example number 1 is I don't like dogs that bark at me when I go past. अब इसमें इंडिपेंडेंट पार्ट कौन सा है? I don't like dogs. अगर आप इसके बाद फुल स्टॉप भी लगा देंगे तो what would happen? It would have a complete meaning in itself. और अगर आप पिछली स्लाइड पे जाएं, I would like you to notice that I said complex sentence वो होता है that has one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. When I say at least one dependent clause, it means that you can have more than one dependent clauses. अब वापस आइए इस sentence पे. I don't like dogs is independent clause. That bark at me a dependent clause. Another dependent clause when I go past. When I go past is not clear until and unless you know that bark at me. And both when I go past and that bark at me are not clear until and unless you have this I don't like dogs. That is the main clause or that is the independent clause. So this sentence has what? It has I don't like dogs that bark at me when I go past. It is, as I showed you on the previous slide, it is a complex sentence with one independent clause, and in this case not at least one dependent clause, rather in this case two dependent clauses in the sentence. In the same way, for your clarity, look at the next two examples. She did my homework while her father cooked dinner. What happens? While her father cooked dinner is a dependent clause. अब इस केस में एक ही dependent clause है. ऊपर वाले में there were two dependent clauses. जबकि each of these sentences has one independent complete clause that has a complete meaning in itself. Look at the last example. You can write on paper, although a computer is better if you want to correct mistakes easily. I leave this sentence for you to think about it, to ponder over it for a while. How many clauses does it have? How many of those are dependent and how many of those are independent? Take your time to think about this. Well, I hope you would have given it a thought. If you look at the sentence, you can write on paper, this is the independent clause. Look at the other parts. Although a computer is better. This is a dependent clause जिसका meaning तब तक clear नहीं होगा जब तक you can write on paper वाला part आपके पास ना हो. And you have another dependent clause जो conditional है if you want to correct mistakes easily. So two dependent clauses and one independent clause make this sentence that you have here as you can write on paper, although a computer is better if you want to correct mistakes easily. अब जरा देखिए compound complex sentence. मैंने already पहले भी इसको explain किया है when I was talking about a compound sentence and I was talking about a complex sentence. A compound complex sentence is actually a combination of the attributes or characteristics of a compound sentence and a complex sentence. compound complex sentence क्या होता है? A compound complex sentence is a sentence with two or more independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. अब जरा एग्जाम्पल देखिए, ये पीछे से ही मैंने दोबारा एग्जाम्पल उठाई है. I don't like dogs and my sister doesn't like cats because they make her sneeze. One independent clause, I don't like dogs. Another independent clause, my sister doesn't like cats. और फिर एक dependent clause, because they make her sneeze. Altogether, these two independent clauses and one dependent clause make a complete compound complex sentence. Now the rule is that there are two or more than two independent clauses. In this case we have two, okay, and at least one dependent clause. In this case we have one dependent clause. This is okay. क्या हम इसके साथ एक और dependent clause लगा सकते हैं? For example, I don't like dogs and my sister doesn't like cats because they make her sneeze and she gets allergy as well. Now what has happened? And she gets allergy as well. She gets allergy as well is complete in itself again, so you are adding one more independent clause. But for example, if you say because they make her sneeze and because she is allergic to them, so these two clauses that start with because, they would become the dependent clauses in this case. Now look at the next example. The example says you can write on paper but using a computer is better as you can easily correct your mistakes. You can write on paper, independent clause, complete है अपने आप में. But using a computer is better, dependent clause. As you can easily correct your mistake, again, what happens? You can correct your mistakes easily is complete in itself as a thought or an idea. So what I want to prove is that two or more than two independent clauses that have to be a part of a compound complex sentence, it is not necessary that they would come at the outset of the sentence. They would be foregrounded, that they would come at the beginning of the sentence. ये ज़रूरी नहीं है, as you have seen in the case of this example. Now let us move on to the final example that is given on this page. The example is, a tree fell onto the school roof in a storm. But none of the students was injured, although many of them were in classrooms at the top of the building. Many of them were in classrooms at the top of the building is complete in itself, and it is joined with although as an independent clause to the rest of the sentence to make it a compound complex sentence. I hope you would be clear about what a simple sentence is, what is a compound sentence, how it is different from a complex sentence, and finally what are compound complex sentences and how they are constructed. The basic rules related to compound complex and compound complex sentences are based on the number of clauses and the number of dependent and independent clauses within each of these types. With this we move on to the basic pattern of a sentence. At the outset I would like to say that the basic pattern of a sentence or the basic syntactic structure of a sentence varies from language to language. Okay, think of Urdu for example. वो सेब खाता है. वो सेब खाता है. वो subject, सेब object, खाता है verb. Subject, file, that is वो. Seb, maful, what is that? Object. And the action or the verb or the fail, in that case, fail क्या है? खाता है. Compare it with the English basic structure. The English basic structure is subject, verb, object. He eats apple. Subject, he eats, verb. अब आपने देखा है verb पहले आ गया उर्दू के मुकाबले में, and then the object apple. So do not get confused with it. When I say basic pattern of a sentence, basically I am talking about the basic patterns of sentence that are used in English, and in case of Urdu they would of course have some variation and they would be different. There are 5 basic patterns around which most English sentences are built. पहला कौन सा pattern है? SV, that is subject verb. Examples of this subject verb pattern are John sleeps. John is subject, sleeps is verb. Jill is eating. Jill is subject, is eating is verb. Jack will arrive next week. Jack is subject, will arrive next week is the predicate, which basically has the verb information, that is will arrive. The second basic pattern that is used in English is subject, verb, object, as I have already talked about with reference to a comparison with Urdu. In subject, verb, object pattern, you can look at the examples. I like rice. I is subject, like is verb, and rice is object. In the same way, she loves her job. She is the subject, loves is the verb, and her job is the object. Look at the third pattern. He is eating an orange, or he is eating an orange. He here is the subject, is eating is the verb, and orange is the object of this formation. That is one of the basic patterns of a sentence in English. Continuing on this, I would share another basic pattern that is used in English very frequently, and that is subject, verb, adjective. Now what is this? He is funny. He is subject. He in this case is subject, is the verb. Well, in this case it is auxiliary or helping verb. And then funny. Funny is an adjective. I would also like to say that this kind of constructions, for example, he is funny, she is beautiful, he is hardworking, my mother is very caring, my father is very loving, etc. In all these constructions, actually these are complementary sentences. These are sentences that are used as complement. Look at the other example. The workers are lazy. The workers, subject, are verb, that is again an auxiliary, a helping verb. Lazy. Lazy is an adjective. In the third case, Karen seems angry. Again, subject, verb, and the adjective or the complement actually in this case is angry. What you need to notice is that in these kind of constructions, main verb is not used. Instead of them, you would see auxiliaries or helping verbs like is, are, seems, etc. With this, we move on to the fourth type of construction that is used frequently in English, and that is subject, verb, adverb. My dear students, in subject, verb, adverb construction, what you need to notice is, look at these sentences. Jim is here. Again, subject Jim is used as a verb. Here it is an auxiliary or a helping verb, and adverb here. Look at the other two examples. Flowers are everywhere. No one was there. What again you need to notice is that in these kind of constructions, again auxiliaries are used or helping verbs are used instead of main verbs. The fifth and the final basic construction that I would like to share with you with reference to construction of sentences in English is subject, verb, noun. Please look at this. She is my mom. The men are doctors. Number 3, Mr. Jones is the teacher. Again, in complementary format, in complementary style, these sentences are created, and the verb that is used is auxiliary, that is the helping verb, and main verb is not used. You can notice the use of is and are in these examples. So what we have learned is, if you go back to the previous slides, you would notice it was only the first two constructions, that is subject verb and subject verb object, that you used the main verbs like, loves, eating. In the case of the rest, subject verb adjective, subject verb adverb, and finally subject verb noun, you use auxiliaries or helping verbs to create sentences. I think this is enough as far as theoretical background of how sentence construction is done in English. So now you need some practice. Here is an activity for you to have some practice on what I would say different types of sentence structures. In this activity, for which you have a very limited time, that is 15 seconds, I would like you to identify the following as independent or dependent clauses. I like to read. Dependent or independent? Mark it for yourself. Number 2, when she goes to school. Dependent or independent? You have to decide. Number 3, it was a very good year. Number 4, staying alive. In the same way, the next two items are, come over to my place and with your jive talking. So what I want you to do is mark each one of these as a dependent or an independent clause for yourself. Okay, so if you have done this, I would like you to see the answers. I'm sharing these here on the slide with you. I like to read, of course, independent. When she goes to school is a dependent clause, and what tells you it is a dependent clause? The very first word, when. Look at the next one. It was a very good year. Independent complete clause that conveys a complete meaning in itself. Staying alive is a dependent clause in this case because it is a fragment otherwise. Come over to my place. Independent clause. It conveys a complete message in itself. Remember those type of sentences that we called sentences that are imperatives, that have some order or command or request. It is that type. And the last one, with your jive talking, is again a dependent clause. It's a fragment otherwise. It does not convey a complete meaning or thought in itself. With this we move on to the next activity. This activity, that is the second activity for you, it actually again has a very short time for you to do this. The recommended time is 15 seconds only. Identify the following sentences as simple, complex or compound. Number 1, my house is very spacious. So mark it as simple, compound or complex. Number 2, we went to the restaurant and we ate a tasty dinner. Number 3, in the summertime the weather is hot. Number 4, Bilal has a maths test on Monday, so he must study hard this weekend. And finally, since I can't have you, I don't want anybody else. So, if you have done this, I would like you to move on. Here is the solved activity, and you can check your answers. You can see your comprehension of the differences in simple, compound and complex sentences. The first item on the activity, my house is very spacious, is an example of a simple sentence. Look at the other examples. We went to the restaurant and we ate a tasty dinner is a compound sentence. And what tells you it is a compound sentence? The use of and. We ate a tasty dinner in itself is a complete idea. We went to the restaurant in itself is a complete idea. These two complete ideas that are independent clauses, they are joined with the help of and. So it becomes a compound sentence. In the summertime, the weather is hot. Well, the weather is hot in the summertime. In the summertime is not clear in itself otherwise, so it is a complex sentence. Look at the next example. Bilal has a maths test on Monday, so he must study hard this weekend. He must study hard this weekend in itself is complete. In the same way, Bilal has a maths test on Monday is complete. But they are joined with the help of so. That is why it is a compound sentence. The last example, since I can't have you, I don't want anybody else. This is an example of a complex sentence. So with this we come to activity 3. The time for this activity is comparatively longer, that is you can have 30 seconds to solve this activity. Identify and label each sentence as declarative, interrogative, imperative or exclamatory. Write the correct punctuation mark after each sentence as well. Number 1 item on the list is, this summer, my family will travel to Greece. I'm so excited. Now, I'm so excited, if it is a sentence in itself, what kind of a sentence? I'm so excited. So you can have maybe an exclamation mark. Do you know where Greece is? Number 4, Greece is home to many archaeological monuments. And finally, number 5, you should read Greek mythology. Take your time to sort it out, to solve it for yourself, and then move on to the next slide. Here is another set of items for you that you have to identify as different types of sentences. So number 6 is, Greek mythology is full of adventures and legends. Number 7, Hercules, Achilles and Perseus are all heroes found in Greek mythology. Number 8, reading mythology will get you excited about traveling. Number 9, would you enjoy a trip to Greece? And finally, number 10, come with us. Okay, take your time to solve these as well. If you have solved these, come to the next slide and see what are the correct answers. This summer, my family will travel to Greece. Okay, this is a statement and the punctuation mark that you need to use is a period or a full stop. I'm so excited. ये मैंने आपके लिए पहले ही कर दिया था. This is an exclamatory sentence. So exclamation mark would be the correct punctuation mark in this case. Do you know where Greece is? Okay, I think my tone would have suggested that. It is an interrogative sentence, so question mark is to be placed. It is to be placed at the end of this sentence. Greece is home to many archaeological monuments. Statement hai, so it would have a full stop or a period. Number 5, you should read Greek mythology. Again, statement and would have a period at the end, a full stop. Number 6, Greek mythology is full of adventures and legends. Statement, it would have a full stop at the end. Same goes with example number 4, where there is a reference to some heroes. Again, it is a statement and it would have a full stop at the end. Reading mythology will get you excited about traveling. Now, see what I have done. Reading mythology will get you excited about traveling. A question mark or an exclamation mark or what? What are the possibilities? What I want to say is, though it is a statement and it has to have a period at the end, a full stop at the end, but by changing the tone you can change the meaning. So you can make it with an exclamation mark, you can put it as a kind of exclamatory as well. Look at the examples number 9 and number 10. Would you enjoy a trip to Greece? Of course. This is a question and a question mark would be put at the end. Come with us. Now come with us can be an order. It can also be a request. In that case, what would happen? It would be imperative. And if it is imperative, by the way, it would have a full stop at the end. But let's suppose you mean it as an exclamatory sentence and you want to convey some feelings. So you want to show, for example, somebody's excitement. Come with us. So you can use an exclamation mark at the end and it would become an exclamatory sentence. So you see, the type of sentence and the punctuation mark that is used, they are very closely connected, and if you do not follow the appropriate punctuation mark at the end, it sometimes disturbs and sometimes it completely destroys the meaning of the sentence, and it changes its type as well. With this we come to activity number 4. Again you have 30 seconds to do this activity. In this activity I would say identify each sentence as simple, compound, complex or compound complex. You are given 5 sentences on this slide. Since it was raining, my dad cut the grass, but he didn't weed the yard. Number 2. We hiked from Woodstock to Ackworth over the weekend. Number 3. Howard was very tired, but he painted the kitchen. Number 4. Before the wind blew, it was very quiet. And the last sentence on this slide is, we vacationed in the North Georgia mountains. So identify each of these as a simple, compound or complex sentence or as a compound complex sentence. Here are a few more sentences that you have to identify. So sentence number 6 is, Sam and Kendra went to the mall and they saw many of their friends. Number 7, after John took the test, he was able to relax. And sentence number 8 states, because she is older, my sister flew on a plane alone and she visited our grandparents in Ohio. The last sentence, that is sentence number 9 here, is, after John built the wall, he cleaned up his workspace and he cooked a large family dinner. So take your time to sort these out, to solve these for yourself in order to learn how to identify different types of sentences from each other. Once you are done, go on to the next slide. Here are the answers you can see. Check your activity against and the solution of each of those, or the responses to each of those in comparison to the answers that I have provided here. This way you can judge your performance. Since it was raining, my dad cut the grass, but he didn't weed the yard. This was sentence 1. Well, it is a compound complex sentence. By the way, do you remember the definition of compound complex sentence? If you do not, go back and see that. Number 2, we hiked from Woodstock to Ackworth over the weekend. A simple sentence because it has only one main clause, one independent clause, nothing else. Number 3, Howard was very tired but he painted the kitchen. A compound sentence, of course. Number 4, before the wind blew it was very quiet. A complex sentence. Number 5, we vacationed in the North Georgia mountains. We vacationed in the North Georgia mountains is a simple sentence because it has only one clause that is independent in itself. Number 6, Sam and Kendra went to the mall and they saw many of their friends. This is an example of a compound sentence. As far as number 7 is concerned, after John took the test, he was able to relax. This is a complete sentence. Why? Because after John took the test is not clear until and unless you have the independent clause, he was able to relax. Statement 8 here is, because she is older, my sister flew on a plane alone and she visited our grandparents in Ohio. This example, that is example 8, is an example of a compound complex sentence. Same goes for example number 9, that is after John built the wall, he cleaned up his workspace and he cooked a large family dinner. This is also an example of a compound complex sentence. Well, as a practice activity, what I would suggest you to do is, on the format of these sentences that are given here, create 2 sentences as replacement for each of these instances that are given here. What I mean by this is, pick up the structure of sentence 1, for example, since it was raining, my dad cut the grass, but he didn't weed the yard. On the same syntactic pattern, create 2 more sentences that are compound complex sentences. Then move on to the next example, that is, we hiked from Woodstock to Ackworth over the weekend. Following the same syntactic order, same structure, create a set of 2 sentences. Each one of them should be a simple sentence. In this way, by creating sentences on these patterns, you would have more clarity on what a simple sentence is, how a simple, compound and complex sentence are different from each other, and how a compound complex sentence is different from the other three types. Well, for some more practice on sentence structures, I have another activity for you here. This activity, that is numbered as activity 5, has something that you are supposed to answer. Number 1, which of these is a complete sentence? Under the umbrella, I jumped over the puddle, my 2 friends and I, being hungry all day. You remember what we talked about the fragments? If you do not, go back and look at that slide and then come to this slide and have a look at these now. Out of these options, which one is correct? I jumped over the puddle. If you add a full stop here, it would be a complete sentence. In the same way, which of these is a complete sentence? The beautiful bluebirds on the tree are flying over the tree. The bluebirds are flying over the tree. The flying bluebirds. The bluebirds are flying over the tree, of course, is a complete sentence. The rest are fragments. Okay, in case of example 3 here, you have to tell whether it is true or false. This is a complete sentence. My father went to the store. True or false? My father went to the store. Of course, true. What type of sentence is the following? This is your question number 4. I hurried over to Varun's house and met Jade on the way. Is it a simple sentence, a compound sentence, complex sentence, or a compound complex sentence? I would just drop a clue, and is used to join these two parts. So whether it would be a compound sentence or a complex sentence. If you are still not clear, go back and look at the examples that I gave with reference to complex sentences and compound sentences. Continuing with the same activity, the next item is choose the sentence that is written correctly. Mrs. Smith has a puppy named Spot. Mrs. Smith has a puppy named Spot. Mrs. Smith has a puppy named Spot. And again, Mrs. Smith has a puppy named Spot. What happens in all these 4 examples is there are issues with capitalization. So, correct sentence needs proper punctuation as well as proper capitalization. By the way, which one of these is correct? The first one, because M capital for Mrs. from where the sentence starts. Remember, I said at the beginning that a sentence starts with a capital letter. Now Smith is a name, so S has to be capital. In the same way, Spot is the name of the dog, the puppy. That is why it has to be capital as well. In the rest of the 3 sentences, you would find some problems with the capitalization. For example, in sentence 2, Spot is with S small. In example 3 and 4, M is small for Mrs. and S is small for Smith as well. So the correct option is option number 1. Find the verb in the sentence. That woman is a millionaire. Of course, is here is a verb, and that is a helping verb or auxiliary. Find the subject and verb in the following sentence. My voice sounds terrible in the morning. In the sentence, my voice sounds terrible in the morning. What is the subject? What is the subject and what is the verb? Sound and terrible, my and voice, voice and sounds, sounds and morning. Of course, the 4th option is correct. Sorry, the third option, voice, sounds. My voice, voice is the subject, sounds is the verb here. Identify the statement that is a fragment. This is your activity part 8. Greetings, my friend. Number 2, I'll do the same for you. Number 3, we are having spinach salad. And finally, I made it from scratch. इनमें से एक फ्रैगमेंट कौन सा है जो कंप्लीट सेंटेंस नहीं है? Of course, the first one, greetings, my friend. So before we close this activity, we have 2 more items on the activity. Number 9, which sentence is written correctly? Last weekend, Karen danced in the ballet. Last weekend, Karen dances in the ballet. Last weekend, Karen dances in the ballet. You look at the different ways the sentence is constructed by using verbs. Last week, Karen danced in the ballet, and last week, Karen has danced in the ballet. The third option is correct. Number 10, find the verb in the following sentence. The pants feel very itchy. What is the verb? Of course, feel, because it shows the action or it tells about something happening. Here the answers are provided for you. If you have still missed out some of these answers or you have not done it correctly, you can check your responses in comparison with the answers that I have provided here, though I have solved these out for you while we were doing the activity. My dear students, with this we come towards the end of today's session that was on basic sentence structure. Here I have provided a list of all the references. These references are of those websites and those books that I have used as materials for preparing this session for you, and the purpose of giving all this is to enable you to look for more materials and to have more practice exercises and activities for yourself. With this I come to the end of today's session, but before I really close it, I would just like to quickly review. I shared with you what is a sentence, what do we mean by sentence structure. I also talked about different types of sentences. I shared with you simple, compound, complex and compound complex sentence types. I gave examples of each of those, and I tried to give you some clarity on how each of these is different. Another aspect of today's session was to give you some clarity on what is the difference in a sentence, a clause and a phrase. The use of punctuation marks for different types of sentences, as well as the use of capitalization and how it gives meaning to a sentence in an appropriate way were also important aspects of today's discussion. With this I close today's session. Thank you very much.